How's it going, guys? I am Connor from Running Warehouse, and we're back at it with episode 3 of the Running Warehouse Connection, our new weekly show where we bring the running community together to talk about anything and everything running related. This week's guest, we could have what is our biggest guest of all time. She's an Olympic medalist. She holds several American records, and even today, she continues to dominate the masters running scene. We have Deena Kastor. Deena, thanks for joining up with us today.
Hi, it's so fun to meet up, Connor. Wish it could be for a run in itself, but this is going to have to be the next best thing.
Yeah, it's great to have you. You know, the last time we talked, we were here in SLO. We were running around. I gave you the full tour of SLO. You promised you were going to show me up in Mammoth, but unfortunately, we're going to have to make that trip a little delayed. But you know,
no, I feel like I'm reneging on a promise by doing a Zoom meeting instead of taking you on a run through Mammoth.
Yeah, Mammoth really holds a dear place in my heart, but I can't be there right now, but you're there. What's the atmosphere like in Mammoth? I know it's really an elite hub. Are pros still running? Are you still training? What's the atmosphere like?
Yeah, our community went on lockdown pretty quickly. Even before we had one positive test in our county, we had stay-at-home orders, and it seems that people in town are really taking that to heart, which I think is awesome. My husband, who's the coach of the Mammoth Track Club, called off practices immediately and gave everyone workouts that they could do on their own. And then, of course, had to adjust with all of the news of races being canceled. But our team is running on their own right now. Even here at home, I try to balance between running on the treadmill some days, which is a little painful for me, to getting out and getting fresh air and doing a run outside. But for the most part, our town is shut down. Our hotels aren't open. Our restaurants are closed. The only thing open right now is the post office and the grocery store. So it's pretty quiet in a town that's usually bustling with visitors and people enjoying outdoors so much.
Wow, that's crazy. And I bet the weather is really nice out there. So it's probably hard.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah, and for you, you're still training hard. You're killing it on the master scene. What's the training like now? Are things kind of shifting because of the whole atmosphere, or are you still kind of grinding through it?
No, I think everyone's doing what feels best for them. For me, because I'm taking on a new role of teacher in the house, and just trying to keep so positive and really trying to find a purpose through all this. So my husband and I are alternating, donating time to working our local food bank for people that are in need. So it's certainly been a challenge in that regard. But for me right now, running has just been for my mind and my body, that I know I'm so happy that it is considered essential activity to get out and get fresh air, that I love that politicians know that it's good for our minds to be able to do that. So I feel super grateful that we still have that luxury to get out and recreate. But we are doing it more as a family now, getting out and like I'll run, my husband and I will run while my daughter's riding her bike next to us. Or today we went down to the track. Our track is still open and people seem to be using it in a very responsible way, with distancing themselves from others. So there's like a family pocket on one corner, tossing their soccer ball back and forth, and one family running in the outside lane, someone running on the inside lane. So people seem to be respecting all the orders in that respect. So we were down there kicking a soccer ball this morning, and I buzzed off and ran the dogs around the outskirts, around baseball fields for a little bit to give them their exercise. So it's really just to make sure everyone in the family is getting out in a time together and then coming home and doing things around the house. Our house is very organized and clean. There's not a closet that needs tending to, because we've done a good job at organizing our inside lives.
That's awesome. Now, you talk about the famous Mammoth track, and last time I was in Mammoth, that's the hub for the Mammoth Track Club, but also for a lot of elite track clubs. I think we saw Bowerman when we were there.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the Mammoth track? How it's so different than some of the other tracks out there?
I feel so grateful to have been able to be part of getting the track and field facility here in Mammoth. My husband and I put it in 2005 and made sure it was going to be open to the public year round. Some new place, a safe place for free recreation. So to be able to see Olympians, visiting Olympians, power around the track at the same time a family is kicking around a soccer ball in the infield fills me with such pride. We've had people use it from being on crutches and kind of rehabbing in the outside lane, learning to walk again, to like I said, people training for their Olympic dreams, to fly fishermen practicing their technique on the infield. It's really been used in a lot of different ways, and I love to see people using it creatively.
That's awesome, and I imagine it's also a nice place to get some speed workouts in throughout the week, or just kind of get that turnover going when you're kind of down in the dumps.
I really think that it's the best place to go when you're feeling bad someday, because there is inspiring views in every direction. So you just feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere, which I guess technically you kind of are. You're in the middle of the Owens Valley, surrounded by volcanoes and hot springs. So you kind of are in the middle of nowhere, but really at the center of everything. So it's a wonderful place to build your dreams.
That's awesome. That is one of my favorite places to run in Mammoth, but there is trails for miles on end. Are there any other great trails that are kind of a favorite of yours?
Yeah, I love the trails around here. Unfortunately, some of them are single track, and so we try to avoid them because it's hard to social distance on a single track trail if someone is coming from the opposite direction. So we are trying to make really I guess educated choices when we get out to run, and we're choosing longer, wider dirt roads. Owens River Road has been a sanctuary for us. And also yesterday, just running from the house, I was running around and I was passing the Village and the Westin Hotel, and I looked up and there's this flight of stairs that's kind of infamous here, a flight of stairs going from the Village all the way up to the top of the hill where the Westin is. And I just said, oh my gosh, this is my new favorite workout. So I did a flight of stairs and counted. There were 75 steps. And I came back down and I did that 6 times as hard as I could. And I thought I would feel exhausted running back to the house. And instead I felt really like charged and powerful. So I think when you change up your routine a little bit, you get rewarded with some of the buzz and thrill that comes with trying something new.
Yeah. That's impressive. Now, people know you, I think, probably most for your Olympic medal, but you've been killing it year after year after year. And last time we talked, I think one of the big takeaways I got was just because you get older doesn't mean you have to get slower. You can keep running at a very high level, and you've been proof of that. You ran a 2:27, 5 years ago? Can you talk a little bit more about what it takes to kind of keep the training up as you get older? What differences? Because I imagine when you ran 2:27, things were a little bit different than maybe when you were a little bit younger and running a slightly faster, but.
Right. Well, let's not kid anyone. I am getting slower, but my purpose remains. I think anytime we can go out there and get the best out of ourselves in training and have those days in a training block build up to race day is always thrilling and always a privilege to be able to pursue. I was training for the Berlin Marathon last September, and 2 weeks before the race, I tripped over a dog at the lakes while up there with my family and broke my ankle. So I couldn't run the Berlin Marathon. But immediately, because I've been practicing positivity for so many years, I thought, well, I guess I'm going to be at this for another full year because I still got to get my 6-star finisher medal by running Berlin. So I do have Berlin on the schedule again this year in hopes that our fall will look a little more normal as far as race season goes. And I can, although it is insane that there's really a major marathon every single weekend now this fall. Kind of fun and very busy.
Yeah. And you talk about all the different major marathons that are now going to be literally every weekend. You've done quite a bit of marathons over the years. What would you say is your favorite race that you've ever done, just in terms of overall race experience and atmosphere?
Yeah, I feel like my answer, I've been asked that so many times and my answer changes all the time. It's just whatever mood I'm in. Like if I'm in a royal mood, then I want to say the London Marathon, because it's to be able to finish in front of Buckingham Palace is just insane. But I would say consistently the most underrated marathon that it continues to stay at the top of my list is the LA Marathon. You get to go from Dodger Stadium to the pier in Santa Monica, and in between that time, you see every iconic space that Los Angeles has to offer, from Rodeo Drive to Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard, the Tower Records building, the Hollywood sign. It's just an amazing tour of Los Angeles, and it really does feel like a red carpet event.
Yeah, the LA Marathon is a fantastic event, and the last time I was there was for the 2016 trials, and now moving into the 2020 trials, I was watching it this year, and who do I see on the TV screen? Deena Kastor. What was that whole experience like?
It felt like such an honor. I mean, I said it in the opening of the broadcast that I had the best seat in the house. I was sitting there staring at the best marathoners in the United States right now. And really, with the women, I was on the women's lead vehicle, and with the women in front of me, I could not choose who I thought was going to win that day. I kept debating it for weeks. Like, it's going to be Molly Huddle. She has the American record in the half marathon, and this is going to be her third Olympic team. And then I thought, no, Des, she's such a gamer when it comes to these events. It's going to be Desiree on the podium, and she just knows how to run hills, and she's resilient and consistent, and so I just kept going through that. And then I thought Emma Bates was going to be the dark horse. She was going to be the person that pulled herself up at home and did all the work, and she was going to come to the streets and show everybody what she has been working for. So it was just so fun to have such a star-studded, such a dense field of talent to choose from. But at the end of the day, my gosh, the three women that got on that podium, I feel so proud that they're going to represent us in Tokyo next year, and we're really sending the best of the best. It's if you could dominate on that Atlanta course, it was so challenging. If you can dominate such a stacked field like that, then you certainly deserve to wear the red, white, and blue over in Tokyo.
Yeah, we talked with Jared last week, and he was just talking about how much depth was in that field. Specifically, he was talking about the men's, but even on the women's side, there were so many people that just stepped up that you would have never expected. So it was really anyone's race. And as you say, the course was just a beast. When I was looking on the TV screen, it looked hilly. It looked kind of windy, but you were out there in the lead vehicle. How intense was that course?
It was. So my intensity came from leaning in my seat. We'd be going uphill, and I'd have to lean forward and hold all my notes. And then there was one time I was trying to read the athletes, like their hair and their jerseys, to see which way the wind was flowing. And all of a sudden, this cyclone of leaves started whipping around in between me and the women, and then just darted off into the amazing spectators that were on the course. So it was not just a consistent wind. It was whipping around, and really kind of an irritating, inconsistent wind that was whipping through the city that day.
Yeah. And with the Olympic trials, I'm sure you heard all about it. The big topic was carbon fiber plate shoes. Everyone had them. Nike kind of led this charge back in 2016. And now in 2020, every brand has their own carbon fiber plated shoes. What are your takes on just this new revolution of plates and foams in these super shoes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would. I think to say everyone's doing it is a cop out we've heard in other avenues of our sport also. So I don't really buy that as a valid argument for or against, but I would like to see more data on someone's fitness and whether this is a performance enhancer or it's just really good materials that are helping absorb shock better. Like, I think if it's a performance enhancer, a performance enhancing plate, a performance enhancing material, I can't be for something like that. But if it's something that if it's something that's just supporting an athlete, then I can support that. I always reflect back whenever I'm thinking of this shoe dilemma. I always think back to 2008 when the swimmers at the Beijing Olympics had those bodysuits that were made of polyurethane and neoprene, and they also had grooves in them. So it not only was a suit that kept the swimmers buoyant, but then it also helped them get in sync with the water better. And they ended up banning these suits a year after they were out, after every world record and almost every single distance had been obliterated. And the Global Swimming Federation said, gosh, I wish we would have banned these a year ago, because now our books don't indicate that purity of a swimsuit. So I hope we don't get to that point where we realize just how much aid the shoes that all the companies are making are doing. Like, then are we going to be able to justify little fans on the back, little motors or fans on the back of shoes because it's keeping your foot cooler when you run? No, it's not really that much jet propulsion coming from them. It's just keeping the foot cool. Like, I just don't know like where we're going to stop in the evolution of it. But when you think of it, the only thing runners really have is shoe technology, and it's been working for us for so many years. Like, I'm sure that the shoes that I wore when I broke Joan Benoit Samuelson's American record were better than the shoes she wore when she had got the American record. So I know that shoe advancement and shoe technology grows with the materials and the lightness and the cushion and all the factors that go into the research and development of that kind of technology. It is getting better. Maybe this was just too big of a leap for people to swallow, or maybe we'll realize that this is not the direction that we want to go as a sport.
Yeah, there's always that fine line of what is too far. When I talked with Jared about this kind of carbon fiber plate discussion, a lot of it is what we talked about was with the foams. And that's where I think we're going to see a lot of improvements and growth in the future, is how light, how responsive can you get these foams? And there is kind of that fine line of where do we draw the line? And I know now rules are starting to get put into place. So that's good that we're at least having that discussion. And we're going to just have to see where the shoes go. But for now, ASICS has their own carbon fiber plate shoe, and it's the Metaracer, and that's hopefully coming out in the next couple months. So I think people are going to be excited to get that on their feet. I know you've been testing this shoe. What are your thoughts so far?
I love the shoe. Mine, I was actually googly-eyed at your version there because I don't have that color scheme. Mine is the color of my jacket because it matches my race uniform. So I do like to match, but maybe if I had a red, white, and blue uniform, I would love to have that pair to your right. It's an awesome shoe. I mean, anytime you put a shoe on and it feels like a Cinderella slipper, you know that you found something that works for you. The shoe doesn't work for everybody. These shoes with carbon plates don't respond to 100% of the population. A lot of people are seeing success from it, but I know Molly Huddle is a person that was a non-responder to a shoe with a carbon plate in it. She ended up in her build up to the Olympic trials and trying her shoe. She kept having, I think it was not IT band. What is it? Perineal tendon. That's on your lower part of your leg. She was having perineal tendon problems and actually missed some days of training because of it, and then went back into her original flat that she enjoyed wearing and had success in, breaking my American record in the half marathon in that shoe. that she's just a non-responder. So to put on that Metaracer and to feel that that effortless stride in it is really I guess as a runner, a feeling that you always crave. You always crave that momentum forward. There's the days where we feel a little side to side and clunky, but that day that we can just get this smooth forward stride and always feels great. And the Metaracer certainly feels that way.
Yeah, and when you talk about non-responders or people who maybe the shoe doesn't affect them as much, I think that's a valid point. And that's kind of the cool thing about brands like ASICS and Nike and New Balance and Saucony all coming out with their own shoes. It is giving people more options. So maybe one shoe doesn't work for you. Maybe another shoe does. Maybe a carbon fiber plate stiffness is going to work better for you, or a stack height. The Metaracer is a little lower to the ground than a lot of these shoes. So it is kind of cool to see different options that are,
Yeah.
you know, very good, responsive, high-end super shoes.
Right, and with the thicker soles, I feel like ankle stability feels a little uneasy in it for me personally. So I really like the Metaracer, that it feels a little more grounding. That you have to exert a little less ankle stability to be able to follow through in that shoe.
Yeah, and the Metaracer is, in my opinion, the most exciting shoe coming out from ASICS. But ASICS is really killing it right now. They're bringing out a lot of great product. What are some shoes that you've been using recently that you're just excited about and have been telling all your friends, so you got to get these on your feet?
Yeah, you know, the Nova Blast, their new shoe that came out, we were just, all of the ASICS athletes who were at the Atlanta Olympic trials were given a pair of the Nova Blast for an event that we were doing at the local brewery. And I put the shoe on, I'm like, wow, these are so comfortable. I have run in them every single day since the Olympic trials. I absolutely love the Nova Blast. And I think it has to do with the cushioning. It's got some great cushion to it, but it's also super light. And that's something that ASICS has always done well, to be able to provide a light shoe that that has stability or that has cushion. But this has taken it to a whole nother level with the Nova Blast. It feels as light as some of my racing shoes, but it's got more stability and a lot of cushion to it. So I can get on gravel roads and I don't feel the rocks coming up under my shoe. And I could also get on the streets and hammer on the pavement and not feel the jarring that comes with that either. So I love the Nova Blast. It's my new love affair right now. I will never venture far from my DS trainer, because that's going to be my first love, always and forever. But the Nova Blast has been on my foot. Hopefully not. I hope my DS trainer doesn't feel neglected these days, but they still look pretty in my closet and feel good for shorter runs.
Yeah, the Nova Blast was a little bit of a surprise for me when I saw it. I was like, at first, the aesthetic just stuck out to me. And then when I got on my foot, it's got a very unique ride, responsive, soft light. I think people are going to be very excited to get that one on their feet. But as you said, the DS trainer, that's kind of been your go-to. And I know you've been using it for years, even before you were with ASICS. Can you tell the people a little bit about that love affair with the DS trainer and how you got started?
Yeah, in 2000, I was running for another shoe company, fresh out of college, running for another shoe company. And I was at my husband's family's house in Ohio. They live on this lake, and it was super icy around the holidays. And my shoes kept slipping. And I said to Andrew, like, if we're going to be here for 10 days and I need to get in training, then I need to go get another pair of shoes that's going to grip a little better on this surface, or take me to an island somewhere where it's warmer. So we stayed at his parents' house, but I went to a run specialty store nearby and asked the guy, I just want to try on a bunch of different models and see what I like, but I need something that's going to grip the toe path and the pavement a little better with the ice outside. And he brought me a few shoes, and I tried on the DS trainer and just fell in love with it. I felt like a light was shining down on the shoe when he brought it out, and then a light was shining down on me when I put it on. It felt like the shoe was made for me. And so I bought the pair. And when we got into the car, I called my agent, Ray Flynn, and said, I don't care if I take a major pay cut in this, which no agent wants to hear, right? I don't care if I take a major pay cut in this. This is the company that I want to run for. I love this shoe. And then as he was negotiating my contract with ASICS, I started doing a lot of research on the company, because you want to stand, if you're gonna be a part of a company, you want to stand behind them in every way you can. And I found out that their name, ASICS, was a Latin acronym for Anima Sana in Corpore Sano, or a sound mind and a sound body. And I just felt like my world just collided, and that this was going to be, it was kind of like meeting my husband. Like, this is the person I want to be with for the rest of my life. This was the company I wanted to be with for the rest of my life. And I've had a relationship with ASICS now for more than 20 years, and I feel super proud of that. And it's not just a motto of the company to have a sound mind and a sound body. Their employees live it every single day.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. You don't really understand sometimes what a lot of these companies stand for, and it sounds like ASICS and some of your philosophies that you live by for day to day are very similar.
Yeah, and I think as an athlete, I realized that getting the best out of myself mentally meant I was going to get the best out of myself physically every day. And then you realize, well, gosh, with it, life is just like running. Life is just like that. That the more you can be in line physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, the better you are going to perform in anything. So I think my lucky stars that I've practiced this time and time again to be able to handle the times that we're in right now, when we have to self-isolate and not be part of the communities that we love so dearly, from a physical side, that we can practice that sound mind and a sound body, take care of ourselves physically and mentally to be able to get through this the best we can.
Yeah. And so the DS Trainer, that's kind of been your go-to shoe over the years. You talked about the Nova Blast being kind of a new shoe that you're excited about. But for someone of your level, you're going to have an arsenal of shoes to kind of hit every single day. You've got your recovery days, just your standard runs, your speed workouts. Can you guide the viewers through what's the Deena Kastor arsenal for a normal week of training?
Oh my gosh. Well, for speed things, I'm always in the Metaracer to help with my turnover. The Nova Blast has just been my go-to recently for all of my easier runs. The DS Trainer, I feel like I can wear it for anything. If I don't have my racing flats and I'm going to do speed work, the DS Trainer is light and doesn't have a lot of structure to it. So you could use your natural foot strike and gait to be able to follow through your stride. So I love the DS Trainer for anything from long runs to tempo runs to speed work. I feel like it's a very diverse shoe. I even have a lot of friends that live here in town that actually train and race in it, who run marathons, the people that are trying to qualify for Boston, some of the people my husband coaches. And then I love the Nimbus and the Cumulus. Those are kind of another easy day. I'm going to be honest, Connor, that if I'm deciding between the DS Trainer, the Nimbus, and the Cumulus on any given day, it's going to be what matches my outfit.
Well, that's an important part of the whole shoe picking process. So I can respect that.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure you've ran in just about every ASICS shoes over the years. Now, there's a lot of great shoes out there, but was there ever a shoe that you got that, I know it's very common with pros to get custom shoes to their own personal preferences. Was that ever something that you looked into, or have you always been happy with your run-of-the-mill DS Trainer?
I've always been happy with the shoes that are available to the public, because those are the shoes that have gone through so many years of research and development. I mean, it's not just that they stitched something together and shipped them out. They're good shoes, and they've been at the top of the running market for so many years because of all that research and development. I also got a chance to meet Mr. Cayano, who the Cayano is named after, at the running event last year, which was super exciting. I was all like fangirling, being able to meet him and spend time with him. But I think there was, what year were the World Championships in Edmonton? Was it 2000, maybe 90, 99? No, I'm not remembering. Whatever year the World Championships were in Edmonton, Canada, they had ASICS had their master shoemaker fly out and take my foot measurements. And I was running the 10,000 meters that weekend, and he measured the circumference of every toe. He measured the length of every toe, the length of the middle, or the circumference of the middle of my foot at the highest point of my arch, obviously the length of my foot, the width of my foot in 5 different sections. And he was writing everything down in Japanese on this piece of paper. And then he flipped the paper over and redid all the measurements to make sure he measured properly the first time. And he did that on my left foot. So I had 4 pages. Then he went to my right foot and did another 2 pages. So 4 pages total of my foot measurements. And a couple months later came these shoes that there's maybe 4 pair of them. They were made out of recycled rice husks, and so it had like an environmentally conscious vibe to them. And they were so light, and I put them on, and they just felt absolutely amazing. It was 2001. The year was 2001. I ran 1 mile repeat in them and just thought that these were sent from heaven. And I ended up going to Carlsbad the following April and breaking the world record in those shoes in the 5K on the roads. So it was Paula Radcliffe's 5K record that I broke that day in those rice husk shoes.
That's crazy. It's always fun to hear about these shoes that I imagine those never made it to market in any means, right? Was there anything similar to that?
No. So Ryan Hall and I each had a pair of those, and they didn't end up going to market at all. But it was fun, and the research and development team in Japan is just so meticulous and insane. And to have a conversation with them, I feel like half the conversation goes over my head with what they're talking about with shoe feedback. So it's pretty extraordinary to be on the inside and see just the depth that these creators are going to. Some people get really upset. I'm one of them. When my DS trainer, I forget what year, I fell out of love with the DS trainer momentarily because they did these ergonomic laces that like jetted off to the side. And I didn't wear the shoe for a whole year because they had the laces funky. And then they went back to straight laced, and I got back in my DS trainer. So you wonder, like, why do they change these shoes all the time? Well, because the materials keep getting better. The color schemes and popularity of color changes. And but really, I guess it's the color that doesn't matter to the research and development team. It's the materials that they're so meticulous about, and just trying to get the best product out there to meet the needs of so many people, whether you need stability or cushion or lightness. It's pretty insane to see the depths they go to.
Yeah, it's funny to hear you say that, because I feel like that's one of the number one things I hear is why did they change the shoe? It was best in version 12. But
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the fine line of brands always are pushing and they're trying to improve. And, you know, some years it may not be the best shoe for you, but that year it's the best shoe for someone else. And then they get mad when that shoe changes. So it's kind of that fine line of things are always moving in the right direction. And hopefully eventually the shoe just becomes amazing for everyone. But it's kind of hard to ever get to that point just because every one of our feet are so different. But
and I am a huge proponent of mixing things up anyway. I think if you're in the same exact style shoe every single mile of every run you've ever done, you're going to be injury prone very soon. So I think when you have shoes that some are a little lighter, some are a little clunkier, some are stiffer or have more cushion, or whatever that variety you have in your closet, I think to have 2 or 3 or 4 pairs of shoes that you're alternating through really help with motor development and getting those intrinsic muscles within your feet working so that you don't get lazy and start getting overuse injuries because of that.
Yeah. And you talked about the master designers over at ASICS, and we were talking with some also at TRE, and we got a little bit of a look at some of the racers coming in the future. And I personally am so excited. We start with the Metaracer, and things are only going to get more excited from here. ASICS really, back in the day, ASICS was the brand for racing flats. They were really revolutionizing the whole industry, and things have changed a little bit over the years. And there was about a year or two where ASICS didn't have a lot of race product, but now the direction I'm seeing, I'm very excited. And for people like me, for people like you, I think we're going to have amazing race options coming in the next couple years.
Absolutely. And I just to add a note to ASICS coming in so strong again into the market and really prioritizing running warehouse, run specialty, and that branch that really reaches out to the communities that they're in. The CEO there is just brilliant. And he's not only adored by the athletes, but he's adored by the staff and senior management. He really is. Kodama-san is a first-class man leading a first-class company. And I think everybody sees his leadership as so strong that they really rise to the occasion.
Yeah. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Well,
and he just shows up. He shows up into marketing meetings and into design meetings where no CEO has sat in on these meetings before. They just wait for the beautiful little package to be delivered to their desk and look at it and see if it's put the stamp of approval on it or not. But he's really hands-on and engaging and really keeps people focused on what their goal is, and the fact that he is also re-entering into the racing scene in sponsoring the Los Angeles Marathon and really engaging in races across the country. I feel like ASICS is in a really good spot with his leadership.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that the leadership is looking strong, because just where I've seen things moving, whoever's in charge is doing a good job. We're seeing the run industry move in the right direction, and whenever there's better product, I'm happy. So
yeah, of course. But you're responsible right now for really making sure that people have the means to get out and take care of themselves during a time where people are really either scared or frustrated or angry. They don't know how they're going to make ends meet. And I think we've seen in so many instances how running can kind of calm that in all of us and make us see a little more clearly and be more solutions driven, and instead of being panicky about the state of our country right now.
Yeah, things are definitely crazy. But as you said, we're open. We're shipping shoes. I would love to get you a Metaracer once it gets in. I know you were really adoring the white colorway. So once we get that in stock, it's going to be first thing coming to your door in Mammoth.
I love it.
Well, good. Well, thanks for talking to us about shoes. I think that's a lot of people come to this show. They love to hear about the races, but a lot of our fans are shoe geeks. They like to hear the tech. They like to hear the details on what's to come. So it's cool to hear your perspective on that.
Thanks, Connor.
Well, we've also got a lot of fans who have questions directed right to you. We reached out on social media. The first question I have is, Deena, what's been your go-to movie or TV show during the quarantine?
Oh, wow. Well, we went through all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. We made popcorn after dinner and sat down, and we don't have television in our house, so we sat down in front of the computer and downloaded all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So once those 5 days were over, my husband and I have watched every episode of Yellowstone for the past 2 seasons. And I think the new season starts this summer, the 3rd season, but I don't know if I can watch it that way because we binged watched. It was really fun to should we stay up later and watch another episode? I don't know if I could wait like every week for another episode to come out. That seems a little boring. So I might have to just buy the season at the end at the end of the year. So that's been what we've watched. Unfortunately, I know more about homeschooling apps and have an entire page of user login information and passwords just on teaching apps.
Well, it sounds like you're busy with teaching. You're still running. But other than that, what is your favorite activity to do other than running?
Oh, definitely baking. I've been cooking and baking, experimenting a lot in the house. I'm only allowing myself to go to the grocery store once a week. So we have dinner every Saturday since the quarantine. We have dinner parties with a group of friends. So I have Friday is my go-to. So I have my running list of what I have to get at the grocery store. But I've been experimenting with Indian food. But if it's an Indian food night, then I make naan that day. Early this morning, I made a kiwi quick bread because we had a bunch of kiwis and I didn't really know what to do with them and they were getting soft. So I made a quick kiwi quick bread. That is the hardest thing to say. And it was really good. I've made French bread and sandwich bread. So every day just making a different style bread depending on the ethnicity of the food we're gonna eat later that night. And yeah, it's a lot of time in the kitchen prepping. It's been really fun. I think the best thing that I've done from scratch so far has been a vegan shepherd's pie. It was really good. I had all the traditional vegetables in it, but with lentils, and I made a nice roux kind of gravy for it all to soak or to simmer in, and then I did the mashed potatoes on top.
Wow, that sounds really good.
Yeah,
I'll have to try that when I come up and visit in Mammoth.
Absolutely. I promise I'll make it.
Awesome. Okay, the last question I have for you is, Deena, what is the farthest distance you have ever ran?
Oh, that's a great question, because it is 28 miles. It was 26.2 miles before that.
So you are an ultramarathoner.
Oh yeah, I guess in one instance I was, and it's not because I went the wrong way on a marathon course. It was always my goal to run from home in Mammoth Lakes to Yosemite National Park, and the route that I took over the John Muir and Pacific Crest trails was exactly 28 miles. So I ran there and I misread the bus schedule to get back to Mammoth, to take me back to Mammoth. And so me and like 12 other people misread it, but I ended up hitchhiking to the entrance of Yosemite where there is a mobile gas station and a really good restaurant. I hitchhiked there and a rock climber picked me up and dropped me off at this mobile gas station, and my husband and Piper met me there and we had fish tacos and mango margaritas at the gas station before we went home.
Wow, that's quite a story. Oh, good. Well, that's all the fan questions I have for you. So Thank you again for talking with us. If people want to reach out, see a little bit more of Deena Kastor, where can they find you?
So on my Twitter is at Deena Kastor, and on Instagram it's Deena8050.
Perfect. We'll keep an eye out for all the latest news and race results from you, and looking forward to seeing you in Mammoth, hopefully in the near future. But
I hope so, for a good run and shepherd's pie.
Yes, I will take you up on it. Well, thanks again. We really appreciate you spending the time with us. And until next time, that was the Running Warehouse Connection.